Folks, and welcome to Paul Vato Presents. This is Paul Vato Presents, and we are live with Bernice. Yeah, we're trying to do a little live streaming. Our guest Bernice is here. Yay! Okay. I don't think we're streaming through Facebook, but other than that, we are live on Twitch and on the YouTube. Let me fix this little. Let me put Bernice's website, which is berniceyet.com. And Bernice, I will invite you up shortly. I'm just going to make sure that everyone knows that we're here. Invite everyone. Sorry for the really mellow music. Yay, yes, applause, everyone. allvato.com. So we got berniceyet.com. Bernice, let me invite you to video. Let me turn on the video as well. Let me invite broadcast. Let me share with my followers. Hi, Bernice. Thank you so much. Hello. Oh, what happened? I think I froze. There we go. You know what? If you don't mind, we'll start now. Let me just turn this wait bot off.
Hi, Paul.
I had to change my shirt because I spilled water on my other one. So I had to do a costume change.
That's what took me so long. Anywhere, but then you're at home.
You can't take me anywhere. I'm like a child. Well, folks, welcome to Paul Vato Presents, and my guest today is Bernice. Yeah, a stand-up comedian. She's a writer. She's a dancer, and I recently found out a budding martial artist. So, Bernice, thank you so much. You're also a wanderer, a traveler, because I know you've been traveling the country, but I really want to delve deep and find out who is Bernice. Yeah. And learn a little bit about your background and your history and whatnot. So, Bernice, thank you so much for taking time to do Paul Vato Presents, and welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you. What are you up to now? We touched base about a month ago, and you were like, I would love to be on your show, but maybe in about a month when I get to California. So it sounds like you've been traveling the United States.
We have been, and it's kind of like a side effect because my husband, and our cat were moving from Seattle to LA, and we're taking our RV along the way, travel. So because the West Coast is so beautiful, September is like such a nice time of the year. So we're doing an RV road trip along the West Coast, spending 3 weeks on the road, and then move to LA and live in our RV. I'm hearing a little bit echo. How's things on your side?
You sound great, but if it's not working, are you using? And I can cut all this out, so don't worry. Are you using your internet or your phone service? Because maybe we can switch. Because if there's an echo, or we can start over, and then because if there's an echo, it's gonna bother you the whole time.
Yeah, I am using Wi-Fi, and you can kick me out and come back.
You know what? Let's try that, and don't worry, because all this I will cut out, and then it'll just be flawless when we put it together. And if that doesn't work, okay, so I'm going to remove you from the stage, but then invite you back up and see if that works. Let's see. You know what, Bernice? Maybe you can here, I'll invite you back up, and if it doesn't work, we can always have you. Okay, go ahead and talk and see if it's okay.
Hello? Test. Just a little echo. There's a little delayed echo.
Okay, then you know what? Let's try two things. Let's have you, go out of the app, close out the app, and then come back in. I'll wait for you, and then pop in, and I'll invite you up again. And if that doesn't work, we can switch it over to your phone Wi-Fi if you don't mind.
Yeah,
that might work.
Because when we were talking earlier, it was great.
Yeah, yeah. So it should be fine, but let's see if just resetting the app works.
Okay, yeah, let me do that.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Testing. Okay. Oh, okay. I didn't even have to.
Uh,
Let me invite you to video. Go ahead and do the test. Can you? Is there still an echo?
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. I can hear it, but like the delay happens a little later.
Are you able
If
to hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I hear you perfectly.
Okay, because you sound great. Also, if it bothers you, we can restart the whole thing, or we can just try it, and if, as long as it doesn't bother you too much.
Okay, let's go with this. It might be
Okay.
just fine.
Great. Great. Perfect. Uh, should we just start? Should we just start at the beginning again?
Okay, yes, fresh start.
Okay, but thank you for telling me though, because if it doesn't sound good, it's no use doing it. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Paul Vato Presents, where my guest today is Bernice, yeah, who is a comedian. She's a writer, she's a dancer, and a martial artist. So welcome. I know that you've been doing a lot of traveling. You're actually, for those of you that are here live on Fireside or are watching us on Spotify with video, I love your background. I love the backdrop. You're actually in your RV.
RV.
Are you homeless? What's going on, Bernice? Tell me.
I know, homeless. I love this style. I know it's a okay. Where do I start? Right now we are traveling in our RV, moving from Seattle to LA. And because there's like, September is kind of the best time to travel on the West Coast. It's not too hot, it's not too cold. And when we move to LA, we're going to live in the RV. That's our home for quite a few months, because then we can take our time to find the place, the location. I mean, renting LA is so expensive. We definitely want to find a place that we feel that's reasonable. Yeah, so we're not under a time pressure
That is
to
amazing. That's wonderful. Is there a place in LA that you're renting a spot for your RV, or is it going to be like other people in the RV that you can kind of park anywhere until they ask you to move? Or what do you want to share that plan with us?
Sure. Yeah. We did a test this February. So before we do this whole relocation thing, earlier this year in February, we stayed a whole month in Hollywood RV Park. It's not in Hollywood, even though the name is Hollywood. It's in Van Nuys. It's in the valley, so it's not as bougie, but like it's a nice park. It has everything, and it's pretty convenient to get to different parts of LA. We liked it, and so we're going to rent a spot in the same RV park there.
Wonderful. You know what? I think that's such a great idea. I used to live on our boat in Marina Del Rey, and I think it's very similar, the RV lifestyle and the boating lifestyle, because everything is shrink down a little bit. You have to be
Mhm.
very careful with the things that you acquire and things like that. I mean, I had a great interview. If you guys want to listen to another interview with artisan Josh, who travels the country. He lives in a converted SWAT van. So I find this lifestyle, it's very appealing because you can kind of move and go anywhere you want to go. How big is your RV, if you don't mind sharing that? How long is it, or what size of an RV
Yeah,
is it?
it's a travel trailer. It's a 23 or 24 footer trailer that's measuring from the hitch to all the way. It has a slide out. So right now I'm sitting on the dinette that stick out. So and it has a Murphy bed that like you lift it up, then it become a couch. So it's pretty versatile. Three of us, I say three, is two of us and a cat live here pretty comfortably.
Of course, because of course you are married, and wait, you're married? Oh, okay, never mind. No more interview. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, I know. If the
That's
ring wasn't pretty, and I wouldn't wear it all the time.
that's why I didn't know. No, but you are doing stand up. Is that part of the reason that you're moving to Los Angeles? Is for your career or just for a different, just relocating, or what's the reason that you're moving to Los Angeles?
It's many, many reasons. I think that's one of it. My husband, when we met, he actually lived in LA. He lived in Santa Monica, and then he moved to Seattle for me. But after living here for a year or two, he has always been missing living in LA. And I also love LA. And I've been trying to move out of Seattle 3 times already. Like the weather, I just cannot take it anymore. But every time when I move, something would happen. It will stop me from moving. So this is a time, like, I've been thinking about a lot about moving to LA for comedy. Part of me, I feel like there's so many overwhelming amount of talent. Do you go there? Do you get buried? Do you got start over? So I did for the longest time feel intimidated about going there for comedy. But then I think when we were living there in February for the whole month, I did okay. Like I made friends from the pandemic. So when I going in February, I was able to go to different venues, get different shows. And in the meantime, I recognized by just being there to see the industry, knowing the people, there's a huge value. Sometimes things only happen because you are in the room, or you never know who else is in the room. So there is that benefit. And I realized this days, thank you. And I realized these days, you can live from anywhere. You can do work remotely from anywhere. So really it's about picking a place that you love the most, you love to live, you feel the best, and you can be the most creative yourself, and then you do your best work. And I realized I want to be in LA for that reason too.
Wonderful. That is great advice. That's a great reason. Is your husband also in the entertainment industry? Does he do comedy, or what's his background? If you don't mind sharing that.
Thank God he does not do comedy. He's very funny. He's the muse to my muse, not muse, to muse to my comedy. But he doesn't do comedy. He just create comedy at home. And he is in the marketing and advertising industry. However, I got him to take acting class with me. So we did that on Zoom, and then we just signed up an acting class together that will start next Monday in person.
Amazing, amazing. Will this be in LA? So you have to get to LA by next Monday, is kind of the thing.
We arrive on Saturday night.
Wow. Wow. Wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I wish you guys, the best of luck. That's great that he was flexible. That, hey, it sounds like he really wanted to get back to Los Angeles as well. So that's amazing. Now, are you working something else besides comedy? Oh, because I know that you came to the US to study something. You're a very smart person, basically, is what I'm saying.
Oh, thank you, thank you. And I did quit my day job. I worked in the tech industry for 15 years because I studied computer science, and I worked in tech for 15 years. And in 2021, we were still in the middle of the pandemic. Things are not even fully opened up yet. That's when I decided to put a trigger to try full time. In the meanwhile, I think stand up comedy, everybody knows stand up comedy, there's no money. So I'm never against picking up another thing that is in the same realm. And when I started taking acting classes, I really, really like it. So I am expanding into acting. And the reason of that is not just money. It's I ask myself, why do I want to do comedy at the first place? Right? For me, the reason why I love comedy is because for me, I have the purpose. Like when I think coming to America by myself, the or growing up in China, there's a lot of adversity. And for me, the best survival is when I can find humor through the tragedy or difficulty, the dark moment. And then I also noticed that when it comes to stand-up comedy, the first generation immigrants' voice are not usually authentically represented, right? That is in comedy or on screen, because a lot of times it's like an immigrant parents, and even the Asian comedians, they will talk their parents as if they're just mostly stereotype. They beat their children, they're harsh, they're disappointed. So I want to just share the authentic of my first person experience to let them see not all first generation immigrants are the stereotypical thing you see on the screen. So, comedy or acting or writing, that's why I'm expanding to all the different domains.
As you should, because you're right. I mean, even I'm second generation. Well, one and a half. My father came from Mexico. My mom came from Texas, which is its own thing. They're not Mexico or the U.S. They're Texas. So I'm kind of like first and a half generation. So that's wonderful that you're taking that step, because you're right. We have unique voices that need to be shared, that need to be heard, and whatnot. So that is wonderful that you are doing that. Were you doing, and maybe this is a silly question, forgive me, but were you doing any kind of comedy or acting or stand up, especially stand up, in China, or was it just something that you discovered when you came to the US? And is there a big Chinese stand up market, if you will?
Okay,
Oh,
so internet is being cutting out. I caught your question, but internet's being really bad.
uh,
How's things on your side?
it also froze. I got my question. I thought you heard it. And again, don't worry about this. We'll cut it out.
I did.
Do you want to switch? Did you switch over to your phone?
I didn't hear your
What's that?
question. Yeah, let me switch it. I actually have a different Wi-Fi. Let me see if it's better. Um, I might just be
Let
able
me
to
switch
switch
also,
like
just
this.
in case. I
Hold
switched
on one
over to my
second.
phone Wi Fi. Let's see what yours is like now.
I am so sorry. That's one of the. How about now? Is it a little
I think
better?
so. I see, 'cause I can hear you great, but then I did see it freeze a little bit. How about you? Can you hear me okay? It's
It's
better.
better now. It was frozen every couple of
Okay, I
frames. Now
think
it's
that there's
good.
still a
Yeah.
slight delay, but I can always cut those out. And it could be Fireside. Sometimes Fireside has that issue. But basically, my question was, is there stand-up comedy in China, or did you do comedy or acting? Was, I think, the question that I'd asked.
Yeah, great question. So, first of all, no. The overall answer is no. And growing up, I mean, in China, there's no stand-up comedy. The art form does not exist. So I never even dreamed of doing stand-up comedy. We do have comedy. So the form is usually either a sketch, a comedy sketch, or is a two-person duet, and then they will be like bouncing off, like, one is more a serious one is a funny one. They were like picking on each other, but usually it's not anything like personal, so it's not something like vulnerable. It's more some like a made up character, more commentary. Yeah, so it doesn't get into that uncomfortable space for the Chinese people to get too deep inside, Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad that you, I don't know, discovered comedy. Now, how did you decide, like, oh, this is the art form that I want to pursue? Was it, how long did it take you to decide that once you were here in the United States?
It is a very long and a kind of not direct journey, because again it's like, back to your earlier question, is growing up in China, I never get to learn any art, anything creative. My whole life is almost prepared for two things. Like, the first one is going to college, I went to the one of the two best universities in China, which is very competitive. It's very difficult to get in, and to do that, and we are preparing for this college entrance exam, and just to give you a sense about how much we have to study. When we grow up, there's no Saturday, Sunday. Like we only have one day off for weekend. That's just the whole country. We only have Sunday off. So school is from Monday to Saturday. And then when I was in high school to prepare this college entrance exam, I would get up at 6 a.m. every morning, and we have 10 minutes lunch break. And then you study until 6. You have 30 minutes of dinner break, and go back to study until 9 p.m. And you go home, and I study until midnight. Every day, rinse and repeat. That's like 3 years nonstop. And so I didn't get to, I'm not allowed to learn anything creative. So that's the previous me, right? Like, so then I got into Peking University, is like the Harvard of China. And then I applied for graduate school here. I come here, I spent 15 years in tech. But somewhere along the way, and then this happened to, I had somebody was talking about doing like yoga teacher training, and I was like, oh, that sounds cool. I kind of want to do it. I like to move around. My mom always made fun of me being like super clumsy. Like she's always like, you cannot do anything physical. You're so clumsy. You're not coordinated. So I kind of always wanted to like prove her wrong. And but while I was thinking that during that time, I had a really bad car accident. Like the time is like my car was like spinning on the highway. I completely lost control. I was lucky to not get terribly hurt, but then like I could totally be T-boned. And so that kept playing in my head, and I realized how fragile my life is. And that same night I went to sign up for the yoga teacher training. I mean, it's not so much about the teacher training, but I think it's about this experience about me realize life is very short. And then all the philosophy kind of like resonated with me very well. And I started to want to do creative things. Somebody invited me to do flash mob. I don't know what flash mob is. I joined, I learned the choreography, and I always liked dancing when I was a kid, like naturally, but I wasn't allowed to dance. So I started, whoa, this is so cool, Michael Jackson. And then that's something I really loved before. And I got super into dancing. And then one thing leads into another. I almost wanted to run away with the circus. I was like, oh, quit Microsoft and just run away. So somewhere along the way, I've always tell myself is, in the long run, I want to leave my tech job, and I want to work on something creative that will generate enough income. But I probably set myself up for passive income, so I don't have to have the pressure to make a living out of it right away, so I can get good at my craft. So in the search of that, I still don't know. I don't know about this thing about stand-up comedy, whatever at all. And but when I became a manager, I know this guy is so long. Is that okay? This is such a long thing.
Yeah, as long as you have time, I have time, and I think it's very interesting because I love the culture clash of it almost. Coming from a different country and then doing something that's very, very American. Stand-up comedy or improv or anything like that. So I'm fascinated. So yes, please keep
Yeah,
going if you'd like to share.
yeah, it's like really stand-up comedy is really the last thing I thought I would do, right? But when I became a manager at Hulu, and I noticed something. So a lot of times I need to give a speech. It's not even a speech. Like when I feel so proud of my team, when I need to tell them, there's so much feeling inside me, but whenever I get in front of a crowd, I feel very uncomfortable. I feel like, oh, there's this gross feeling. And I actually worked with an executive coach, and we dive deep into and why I have that reaction. And it actually is caused because when I was a kid, my mom always have to take me to those like socializing events or lunches with her friends, and I always put on the spot to gave a toast, gave a speech to her friends who I don't care. I don't care about them. I don't know who they are. But if I don't say it to as perfectly as she wanted, she will shame me in front of everybody, and she will also say, "Oh, she's so horrible. She can only study. She's good with school, but she cannot talk, and she cannot do this." And so that shame and their feeling of this public speaking in front of a crowd, just I have this fight or flight reaction on me. But knowing that, now that I know what's causing it, and I said, okay, it's not me, I'm bad. It's because there's a story I told myself that I'm bad. So the coach recommended me going to Toastmasters just to see, just to practice. I went to the Toastmasters, and I just, again, I'm like, life is too short. I'm just pushing myself to do uncomfortable things. And when they have those humorous speech, like just improv, like just give you 3 minutes to stand up, and I right away I won the humorous speech contest, and then I did a bunch of times. I'm always winning, and I was like, okay, hold on a second. All these people, they're Americans, they're native speakers, and I got there, and like I'm earning the confidence. And then at that time, I made a kind of a New Year's resolution to the Toastmaster group. Is that, you know what, I want to do an open mic just once. By next year, end of the year, I'm just going to go to one open mic just to see what it's like. Part of that is because when I was doing my skincare at night, you do the mask and moisturize, it takes so long. I started watching Netflix stand-up comedy specials. And then I was fascinated by the comedians because I feel like, oh, actually, I think like them. Those silly little things I think about during showers, those are the things they talk about. And so I feel like, oh, I'm not this weird person. And then I remember Chris Rock was having his special. I don't know if you watch it, trampoline. No, trampoline. The thing that you play the music.
Tambourine.
Tambourine. Yes. I remember he was talking about. Oh my God, it's so silly. He was talking about to the married couples that you have to fuck. Like it's like no, it's like no matter how boring, like how things die, you just have to do it. You have to save the marriage. And then I start to really, I think about this all the time. I still think about it like a comedian changing my life, like make my life better. And there's a lot of things he talk about I still think about on a daily basis. And to me, I am fascinated by the mind of a comedian, and then that's kind of the reason why I decided I want to sign up for open mic. And in parallel, this is also when Ali Wong's Baby Cobra came out.
Sure.
Because all this time I still don't see too many comedians that I feel like look like me or kind of like my type of story. And then when Ali Wong was talking about her story that I relate so much, and I was like, oh, there are people who so many people out there who relate to observations, life experiences like I did. So that's kind of pushed me to make that New Year's resolution. And because I started telling people about my New Year's resolution, people tell, oh, you can sign up for this class. And then by February, I'm already signed up for a class. I did my graduation show. I had a really great set, and people come tell me we should do this. And I think just one thing leads to another. Like I just, okay, I like this. People think I'm good. I'm just going to keep on showing up at the mics and shows. Yeah.
So how long ago was this? How many years ago was this? And then was this in, I'm sorry, Portland? Is that where you're, Portland or?
Seattle.
And how long ago was this?
That was early 2018. Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing. It's amazing. You know, I've been trying to do it for maybe 30 years. So you're very inspirational. I'm an improviser. I do comedy, I do sketch, I do improv, but stand up, I've done it a handful of times. So that is amazing, though, that you've done it. And it's kind of, you know, you're inspirational, because I'm like, here's somebody from a different country that, you know, English is not your first language, but here you are doing stand up comedy and doing it very well. in English. So that's amazing. Do you think that you could, um, or will there ever be a time where you could go to China and do it in your native language and do it in China and people will get it? Do you think it's opening up or is it still too closed off?
I think so. Before that, it's probably more likely to doing in Chinese for Chinese Americans. Um, I actually learned that there is a big community of Chinese stand-up comedy in LA, so I want to try that out. Because I think the experience is more about a Chinese person living in America, and I am observing from a outsider's point of view, but then like that's why Americans get it, or Chinese people living in America gets it. So I kind of definitely that's the first step I want to try, but going to do the same in China is going to have many different challenges, because first of all, they don't have the same understanding of what American life is, right? It's really about what the government told the people, and it can be very different. And that's not just say I can change the setup, like I can change it. I can set it up so they know what it's like or whatever. But what's really hard is what you are allowed to say and what you're not allowed to say. That's the most scary part. And then for also for fact, like based on what I say here in America, if people know who I am going to China, it might be a little dangerous.
Sure, sure. Yeah. Why did you say this? Why did you criticize our government when you're in the US type of a thing? I get it. So, uh,
And then there are things like to me it's not even criticizing, but they take very high offense. To me, is coming from a place of observation, but you will be surprised how little humor they have, or just zero humor allowed when you are like insulting or saying anything negative about a country. Because as Americans, we make fun of the government, we make fun of our president. It's just part of the culture. But for them, that's like, no, that's disrespect.
Yeah, yeah, I get it. I've been to Cuba. You know, that's a communist country. It's also they're like, watch what you say because I could be outspoken too.
Yeah.
But I think it would be so much more difficult for you because you are from China. There's repercussions. Do you still have family there? Is your mom and your dad are they around? Do you have siblings?
That's exactly the bigger problem. All my family are in China. My mom and dad. I don't have siblings. Only child here. One child policy. Um, but my uncles, cousins, grandma. I have two grandmas. They're still alive, and that's where the government can hold them hostage. They can do something and they say you're not allowed to say this, or that's also why I try not to put my real name, legal name anywhere, because it could also put me on blacklist that I'm not allowed to visit China anymore.
Wow, wow. Have you been back to China since you've come here? You've gotten a chance to go back and visit family?
Yes, yes. Well, first of all, like stand-up comedy is still new, right? Like it started in 2018. So before that, I've visited. Since I started doing stand-up, I went back to China in December 2019.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. Has your husband, who I think he's from one of the Carolinas, so I don't think he's Asian. I'm going to take a wild guess. Um, has he met any of your family?
Yeah, that's the trip we went to China. So like the winter of this 2019, that's when I took him to China. And if you put the timing together, that's right before COVID.
Right, right before COVID.
Well, actually, it's already in, right? Like COVID already happened in China. We're lucky to get out of the country.
You weren't in Wuhan, were you? That
We were.
oh, you were okay.
We were because that's where my family is.
I think we just put it all together. I'm sorry. This is probably one of your lines, or maybe it's offensive. I don't know if it is. My apologies. I think we finally figured it out.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
and your husband there.
yeah. Just don't tell people it's us, okay?
No, 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 no. No one's listening to the show, so your secret is safe. I want to take a quick break and just welcome everyone that's popped in. Thank you guys. Thank you so much for popping in. I'm Paul Vato, and my guest today on Paul Vato Presents is Bernice Ye, who is, I hope I'm saying that right, because I did say, yes, Bernice Ye, who is a comedian, a writer, a dancer, a budding martial artist, and a traveler. She's living in her RV with her husband and her cat, and they're traveling. They're making this long voyage from the Pacific Northwest all the way down to LA, but somehow it's taken them 3 weeks to do it, which I think that's wonderful that you guys are able to do that. But I want to welcome everyone that's in our audience here live on Fireside, and for all those that are maybe listening to us or watching us on Twitch or YouTube. And I'm a little bit behind on my podcast, but hopefully I'll get this edited out and put it up on Spotify and all the other podcasting platforms. If you guys could do us a huge favor and if you go to Paul Vato Presents, that's where all my podcasts are. But if you could leave us a review, a like and a review on iTunes, that would be great. I'm sorry, I think it's Apple Podcasts now. And maybe on Spotify, it would mean the world to us. But again, my guest today is Bernice Ye. And thank you guys so much for being here. If you guys have any questions, drop them in the chat and we can get them to Bernice. Unless, Bernice, you have time and you want to take a few questions, we can always invite people up. That's what I like about this platform.
Oh, that's so cool. People can come up. Okay, that's like super low, right? Yeah.
Kind of like Super. Are you still doing that? Speaking of Super, do you want to touch a little base on Super, what it is? I know it's from another platform. It's from Meta, I believe. And that's, I think when I first I popped in, you were working on some comedy on Super. Are you still doing that? And how can people connect with you?
I haven't been able to do that on the road because, as you can tell, the internet connection is a little dodgy. This is actually the week we're in Paso Roble. I don't know, is it Paso Robles or Paso
I
Robles?
believe it's well, in Spanish, it's Paso Robles.
Yeah.
And in English, it's Paso Robles. No, it's Paso Robles.
Okay, Paso Robles. I will say it really fast so you cannot tell the
Paso
difference.
Robles.
So this is actually where we had the best reception. But the first 2 weeks is I don't really have Wi-Fi, so I haven't been doing the Super. And for those who haven't heard of it, it is a live stream platform by Meta. It's only in private beta, so that's why it's not wildly open to everyone. They definitely have bugs, but Paul joined us last time. He has some really fun features, like they gamified it, right? They have some like taking the selfie, doing trivia, have a reaction. So I like that. I am cautiously optimistic, meaning that like I like it. I might continue to use it for people that they are willing to join, but I don't want to spend a lot of effort to build up because Facebook can cancel it. I mean, it's still private beta. I don't want to spend a lot of effort to grow and then they just cancel it. I want to wait until they go public for that. But for people who are willing to say, hey, let's hop in, let's see each other, that's a great platform to use.
I like the snapshot. So like it's basically like what I do here is you can take a screenshot, but they have it so that you can just hit screenshot and take a photo of you and the host. So I could see a lot of celebrities using it. I just got approved to be on there. So thank you. But
Yay!
so thank you because I don't think I'd even heard about it
That's so awesome.
until I popped in when you were doing it. So thank you. Thank you for that.
Invite
And
me to your super event so I can join. Yeah, I would love to be there to support. Yeah.
thank you. Thank you. You are very supportive and that's amazing. That's wonderful. So as I was stalking you on Instagram, I saw you doing some martial arts. And, I got into Taekwondo when I was a child, when I was maybe 13, 14, and I did it seriously for about 3 or 4 years. I got up to brown belt. It's still up here. My body, no. But I must say that your form is immaculate. And not that, oh, I got Paul's accolades. No, I mean it really is. You're really good at that. You want to talk a little bit about your martial arts training?
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. I mean, I love it. I think that's probably why I get joy out of practicing. But lately, I've been thinking a lot because like there's a part of me was like, oh, is it like this in my blood or anything? But then I look at other some of my peers, like Asians or Chinese, they're not necessarily as good. I'm not trying to brag, okay? I'm new. But then I there's a couple things reminds me because I was like, oh, it's because I dance. Yes, I dance, but I only learned dance when I'm an adult. I wasn't like a dancer growing up either, right? And I remember this one experience, what happened, and it's because when we're in elementary school, our city is hosting a national farmers sport like Olympic, but like the small one, the one that was a national sports convention for farmers. It's ridiculous. Okay. And because our city is hosting, it's like that's our city's Olympics, right? So we have to do the opening ceremony. And so our school, the kids were dragged to do all the gymnastic things for the opening ceremony. So it's like free child labor. We of all the things when you study whatever, and then we're the outside study, you have to go there to do training. Like the weather was so hot, and like you have to stretch, you do high kicks, you do to splits, and then like back bend. Some people have to jump in the air and stuff. We don't have cushions, okay? We just on concrete floors. And they don't even feed us. They only gave, because the weather was so hot, they only gave us like those they call ice bag. So basically it's a plastic bag filled with sugar water, and they froze it, and so you can just drink it slowly. It's so sad. It's basically we're exploited by the school, the communist party, whatever, as a free child labor.
I
But
could
because of
see I could see why you might think that you would get in trouble if because if you go back to China and they're like, we heard that you're telling people that we do child labor, that we exploited you. I could see where something like that's funny, it's interesting, but then they could take it the wrong
oh
way
my god,
and
yeah,
go, you were talking bad about the government,
oh yeah,
where you're just
for
being
sure,
funny. I mean,
yeah.
it's true, but it's funny.
It's true, yeah. But then I think that's the age that we're constantly stretching, we're doing splits, we're trying to I think that helped us to have good form because you have to stand straight. So that probably allowed me to be still pretty flexible at this old age.
How long was your training when you were a child? How long did you have to train to do this opening ceremonies for the Farmer Olympics?
I think we did it for like a whole year.
Oh my goodness. Okay, I thought it was like a couple of weeks. Okay.
No,
Wow.
because again it's not like in like you have to train every day, but it's not you can take the whole day off, right? So we would train before class, we would train after class, we would train on weekends. As the days goes by, we have to go to school on weekends just to do training. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm glad you're here now. Uh, and I
That's
kind of
why
glossed
now
over.
I just want to mess around. I never had a childhood. Like when I grow up, it's all just like not just study and then like all this. I just never had a childhood and never have a moment of fun. So these days, well, working hard is in my bones. But then in the meantime, I just want to be irresponsible. I just want to have fun. I just want to fuck around.
Good for you. Good for you. Oh my goodness. I would imagine that your husband was raised maybe a little bit differently than you because he's not Asian, is he?
He's not. Yeah, he's not.
How did you guys meet? Where did you guys meet? And then what was it like taking him to China to meet your? I think I saw something with your grandmother. Did they get along? You want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, they get along so well. Like my family loves him, and he loves my family. They were like dancing and singing together. They don't speak each other's language. I think that's the success reason. That's the reason of success.
Yeah, of course, of course. Uh, How
because
did
I
you meet
just
your?
translate, right? Like anything, I just translate to like flowery language, and they were just using hand gestures and ha. So it's like it's only the happy things.
Wonderful, wonderful. How did you guys meet? I'm curious. I don't know if you want to share that.
Yeah, we actually met online. Yeah, the old-fashioned way, Match.com.
Okay, wonderful. Well, it works. It seems like it worked.
Yeah, because like at the time, I actually he is like the I mean I met him within 30 days of signing up a match, and I just canceled. So like he's one of the first few people I met. And at the time, just like I use Match. I never even signed up for Tinder or anything because I just don't want to have people who can afford a subscription, a paid subscription. And what happened is at first I was like in Seattle, right? So my location is in Seattle, but I work at Hulu. So I would go to Santa Monica for work a lot. And after I got out of, because this is also after I got out of a long term relationship. And so I was thinking about moving to LA. So see, I was trying to move to LA back then. And then my manager at the time, I think he subtly, my manager he's based in Santa Monica. So and he subtly hinted at me. It's like Bernice, for single people, it's very difficult to meet people. I think he's trying to hint there are too many beautiful women in LA, and I'm going to have a hard time.
Oh my God. Yeah.
But he
Yeah.
never want to
Yeah.
say it. So he's like, before you go, you might want to just check out and just come here, spend a week and see what's it like. So that's when I switched my location of match from Seattle to Santa Monica. And he happened to be within 1.5 miles of my hotel. So he's like really close to me. And when I first switched to Santa Monica, he's actually the first person Match.com recommended to me. And then, so first of all, what the first person recommended to you is probably like what they think the hot shot, right? Like, okay, this is the best you can get. Like that's kind of what's luring. and and then right away I do like him. He looked very cute. He's like, it's my type and everything. But he in his bio, he only says like, oh, my name is Rich. I like surfing, photography, motorcycle. And I was like, okay, just by that, you expect me to talk to you? Like, you have such a big ego. You think you're good looking. So I immediately dismissed him. I said, bye.
Oh.
But then later he wrote to me because in one of my profile picture, I'm in the motorcycle suit along the Amalfi Coast riding motorcycle, and then he liked motorcycle. He saw me, and he's this fake Italian, all about his Italian heritage. So like he saw that picture, he messaged me, and I was like, all right, I'll talk to you.
Oh my goodness. And are you guys married now or?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, congratulations. That is
Thank you.
wonderful.
Yeah, so it's like it's a funny, it's a yeah. So, but here's the thing, he and I grew up in completely different location, completely different family, different culture. But I think there's so much stuff or life value we have in common. That there's the cultural clash, but then like I feel like right away we connect very well. I think part of that is the being a rebel. Like I think both of us grow up in an environment feel like we don't really fit in. We have pressure from whether it's the family or the city, whatever culture around you wanted to behave certain way, and then we just didn't want to live that way. So like there is a part of us to kind of honor how we want to live our life and
Well, I
not
could
let
see that.
others.
I would love to talk to him as well because I mean, it's stereotypical, but you don't see many maybe Italians growing up in the South, So there's that as well. So I could see where you guys could kind of experience similar things, almost fish out of water.
Yeah.
Uh, but it's so interesting. I'm
Yeah,
glad that
because
you guys found
in
each.
Charleston specifically, it's all the sudden you got to be proper, and then I think he and his brother were like wearing golden chains, being made fun of. But
Of
then one
course.
side, what's that?
Of course, he's Italian. Of course, he had the chain with the horn, with the little gold horn, and the malocchio, the evil eye thing, everything. Yeah, of course.
Right. Yeah. So then definitely, there's the pressure of how you should dress, even right. Like you should do what is the thing, but preppy. Yeah, that's the word.
Preppy.
Yeah, and to dress all the preppy clothes and things. I think they because they were kids, so they did some of that. But then there's also the part is like, I am done. I want to get out here. Yeah, that rebellious soul.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad that he traveled with you to China, and now you guys are seeing some of the most beautiful part of the country, taking your time and going from the Pacific Northwest down to LA. Paso Robles is great. I was there for a cigar event, a cigar and wine event called used to be called Crush and Roll. I don't think it's there anymore, but beautiful part, great wineries. If you know, of course, if you like wine, such
Hmm.
a great part of the country. So I'm glad that you guys are doing that, and I love that you're doing it in an RV. Are you? I don't. I'm just curious. Are you renting the RV or did you buy it or?
Yeah, we bought the RV. Yeah, we bought the
Oh,
RV. It's actually happened in 2020. Um, it's kind of like I pushed him. Like out of all people, nobody would imagine I'm the one who wanted the RV. And then because like I don't like camping. I don't like camping. I've never camped until we met, and then he tried to take me out camping. But he made it very nice for me, so I actually had a great experience first time camping. But the second time when we camped, weather was pouring rain. We packed so hard, like we packed. And then like it's pouring rain, it's muddy. We're just shivering in cold, and then we'll come back. We'll have to unpack all the muddy stuff. And then when we're camping, we saw other people with RV. They can just stay inside under the awnings. I was like, I want that. So we went to tour a few like Airstream. We went to like RV show. We got to see some of the RVs, and we're like, wow, they're not even that expensive. So it's intimidating at first because it's a travel trailer. So we need to learn. Well, but mostly him, need to learn how to hook up, how to tow the trailer. There is a learning curve, but I think that's one of the things I really appreciate of my husband is he is willing to learn and try, be brave and then try things he never tried before. And once we get over the hump of that, and then RV travel is the best, right? Because you're taking your home with you. We're taking our cat with us. We don't have to pack and pack. You can, because like we love traveling, but when you go to places, living in a hotel, that packing, unpacking, and you always have to eat out. You cannot cook, and this way is really like taking your home with you. You have that comfort level. Well, experience. You can wake up at a different place, like every not every day, but like you can choose how frequent you want to.
what if you don't mind sharing? What model is it, or who makes your RV?
I can share the exact model like later with you with typing, but this is Forest River Severe Legend. I really like after we look at all the different layouts, we love this the most because I think it has a lot of counter space. The kitchen counter, like I have one little silly video of me lying down doing like a like what is the reverse sit up on the kitchen counter, and there's still more space. Uh,
Wonderful.
yeah, and then have a dinette, and then so you just have enough space. And when the slide out is in, you can still walk around. Cause some other RV when you slide in, it's blocked, so you cannot access some parts of the RV.
Wonderful. Are
Yeah.
you allowed? I think I know the answer, but are you allowed to be in there if you're traveling and he's driving? Because it sounds like you connected to a pickup truck or some kind of vehicle.
Yeah.
Are you allowed to be in the RV while you're driving or no?
I think if he's driving on the highway or a very bouncing thing, legally, yes, I'm allowed, but like I've never tried. I can only imagine it gets pretty hectic here and it might not be safe.
Yeah, yeah, that is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, Bernice, thank you so much for sharing your stories, your time, your background. I mean, I could keep going for hours. So I would love for you to maybe come back, and especially if you're promoting something, or if, if any projects, or if you want to tell us more about what's going on in your life, because I find you just so fascinating. And thank you for sharing your story with us.
I had so much fun chatting with you. Like, like you asked really interesting questions and like some of the stories that reminds me is like, oh, I can't believe that was like that. Yeah. I haven't thought about this for a long time. And I hope that I keep on working, progressing, growing. So next time I talk to you, there's like, you will say, wow, I can't believe you already did some new things.
And you will. I truly believe that. I think you're going to find great success in LA. Not that it's, based on monetary or anything like that, but you have a very unique story, and the world needs to hear your story. And you're obviously very smart, and you're very funny, and you have a very great support system, both your husband and your cat, il gato. So that's fantastic that you have all that, and that you're following your dreams, and you're going to where it's going to make you happy, which is Hollywood, LA. And um, when you're ready, I'll introduce you to any of my managers or agents if you don't already have them, because I think you need to definitely be there. That's where your home's going to be.
Thank you so much. I love that. Yeah, I once I get to LA, I would love maybe we can. I don't know where you live. Get coffee or lunch. I would love to meet you.
I would love that. I'm in Las Vegas. Unless I'm working, then I'm in LA.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, if you guys come out to Vegas, by all means, you can park your RV here. I think I'm in a condo, but I think we get permission, and you know, uh,
We'll find RV parks there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love it. Normally as I wind things up, I like to ask for a couple things. Final thoughts. I also would like to ask you to send me some money. No, I'm kidding. Final final thoughts, and then also, if you have an idea what we should call this episode, I'm always struggling to come up with a good name or a catchy name. But if you can think of anything, that'd be great. And even if it's not now, maybe later you can DM me. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so that, and also your final thoughts, and also I'd love to let people know, of course, if they go to berniceye.com, that's berniceye.com, they can find all of your work there. You're also, of course, on Instagram and all of the social media. So please make sure that you follow my guest, Bernice. She's a brilliant comedian, a writer, a dancer, a martial artist, an RVer. So please make sure that you follow her. And then for me, you can always visit me at paulvato.com. And also, if you go to vato.tv, you can pick up my new book. It's called The Kama Sucia, which is translates in Spanish to the filthy bed. I probably shouldn't be promoting this on our show, but I'm very proud of the fact that I was able to get it on Amazon, and it's a dirty sex guide. So you've been warned, people. And please don't let this reflect bad on Bernice. This is all my doing. But yeah, if you guys can go to vato.tv, because I really need reviews on Amazon. That's what drives the sales up and things like that. So that's all I ask. And of course, follow paulvatopresents.com. If you go there, you can follow my podcast and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Just even a short, simple review will help us. And also on Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcasts. So thank you. And Bernice, did you have maybe some final thoughts? Or I guess first, if you have an idea what we could call this episode, that'd be great. And then maybe some final thoughts.
I think the episode as we talk, and then it reminds me of something that has been lingering a lot on my mind. I call it rules are suggestions. Um, because
Love
it's
that.
something that's one of the central conflict with me and my husband, because like he like to follow rules and I was like rules. So it's kind of an inside joke whenever I say rules or suggestions. But then as I live through my life, there are so many times that people tell me the rules of the city, the parents, or of the industry or comedy, whatever. Yes, we should know the rules, but then like I feel like in my life, whenever I had success is when I find my own way, like what works for me. Rules has never really worked for me. Okay, don't send me to the police, but so I feel like that threaded through very well with how I live my life, how I find my pursuit and follow my dreams. Is I'm kind of breaking all the rules.
I love it. That is such a great title. See, I could not have come up with a better one. Rules are suggestions. Why Bernice yet thinks that rules are merely suggestions. That's brilliant, Bernice. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you like it.
And I think that that's also a great final thoughts, folks. Rules are suggestions. Live by your own uh, life. Live by your own rules. Same with me with improv. You learn the rules, but then you know how to break the rules. But so it's great. I think it's such because if you didn't break the rules, you wouldn't be here, Bernice. You'd still be in China. Granted, I'm sure very successful there also, but you wouldn't have, I think, this wonderful husband, this wonderful life in an RV with your cat. So I'm glad that you are a rule breaker.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just like on top of you said is I feel myself. I can be myself, be authentic myself, and I'm not afraid. Yeah.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I really am glad you're a rule breaker. Folks, thank you guys so much for being here. For those of you that are in the audience, if you're here, maybe let's give Bernice a round of applause. I really appreciate everyone being in here. If you're listening to us, if not, by all means, thank you. Thank you for popping in. And thank you, thank you. And we will. I'll have this episode out maybe in a couple weeks, but you can always find it on Facebook, Twitch, YouTube. So, Bernice, thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Paul. I had a lovely conversation.
Thank you, and safe travels. And I'll